I was nominated by Sunwest School Division to be a member of the Saskatchewan Youth Council this past term. Over the year, we participated in numerous different engagements. 3 of them were in person, one of them being in Saskatoon, and the other 2 were in Regina at the Ministry of Education building, and the rest of them were just online. And in these engagements, we got to learn about the different pieces of the Ministry of Education and how those impact Saskatchewan's education overall. In our presentation to Minister Hindley, we talked about mental health and supporting student wellness, curriculum and credit attainment, effective student grading and achievement, and AI and its impact in the classroom. I was part of the mental health and wellness sector of it, and we talked about how important it is for students to have counselors in rural areas, as there's not that many. And we also talked about how teachers should be educated on how to help a student when they're experiencing anxiety or having a panic attack, because for those students in rural areas, it can be really difficult when you don't have the resources that you need to. So having someone that's there that knows basic training to help you is really great. The curriculum and credit attainment group talked about curriculum renewal for History 10, 20, and 30, as it is very outdated and has not been renewed since the 90s or 80s. They also talked about removing teacher bias from classrooms to make sure that school is a neutral space. And we also talked about SaskDLC and the impact that has on rural classrooms and engagement numbers. The effective student grading theme talked about the positives of teachers being able to create their own assignments and lesson plans and tests, and how that can impact students positively. But they also talked about the negative side of it and how it doesn't create, how it fails to make consistent grades across the province, and how that impacts students when they apply for post-secondary and for scholarships, because one teacher's 90 is another teacher's 70%. And that inconsistency creates a challenge for students in grade 12 fighting for those big scholarships. Lastly, we talked about artificial intelligence and how that impacts our critical thinking. The AI portion of the presentation talked about the positives of using artificial intelligence in the classroom for both teachers and students, but it also highlighted the negatives where it really impacts your critical thinking skills when you're not using them as often. So we proposed that a policy be made for a province-wide policy be made. We suggested that there would be a course or a section of the curriculum that students would need to participate in and get a certain grade on in order for them to use AI in the classrooms, to ensure that they know how to use it responsibly and use their own critical thinking at the same time. Minister Hindley responded very well to our suggestions and our presentation, and he actually told us that he refers to his notes and our presentation multiple times throughout the year, which was really cool to hear, because it just reminds you of the impact that you make, and that he does look over it, and it's not just something that's scheduled in his day and he'll forget about it a month later. He does use it, and he makes note of it, and you can see changes from past youth council members, so I'm excited to see the changes that will come soon. I think the Youth Council provides a valuable role in the education system in Saskatchewan, because I think it's really important to get student experiences and input, because they're the ones who are experiencing the education system. You know, adults are great and they have their great opinions and great ideas, but they are looking at the outside. They don't actually always know what's going on the inside and what students are actually wanting and needing in the classroom. But when it comes from students, they've had, most of us have had 11 to 12 years of experience in a classroom. So we know the problems and we know what we feel strongly about and passionate about and what needs to change. And there's no better way to get that than from students directly. And I know that the Ministry of Education really values our opinion. And every time we were in an engagement and we were giving our suggestions or experiences, they were always so respectful, and they never didn't believe that our experiences weren't true. and they always knew that we were telling the truth, and they respected our opinions and our experiences, and they wanted to use those stories to make new policies or make new curriculum changes to better impact the future of Saskatchewan education.
Yes! There we go. There we go.